Okay, well, a very good morning to Miss and friends. Today, me, Lim Ting Wan and Eng Zi Qian will be presenting about the topic about agriculture activities. The focus that we'll be focusing is there are a few types of agriculture activities, and what do you think about traditional farming and modern farming? Well, before I start, have you ever wondered that the vegetables or crops that you ate, the method of planting is come from traditional farming or modern farming? I will start the presentation by explaining about the traditional farming. Well, in your mind, first, what do you think about traditional farming? Is it like a man taking the shop, like at the field there planting a lawn or something like that? Well, traditional farming is an ancient food production system which is the most original type of method of planting which has been practiced for 1,000 years ago until today. There are also some minority of families or farmers still using that method to produce their crops. And besides that, traditional farming, also known as subsistence farming. Subsistence farming mean that the farmers themselves only focus on producing enough food for them, their own and their family use, which they will not produce extra products to fulfill extra products which has no surplus for the marketing, and they will only produce the products which only fulfill their basic needs, which only enough for their families, and they will not focusing on the business or selling their products. Okay, now let's move on to the advantages and the disadvantages about for the traditional farming, which is the pros and cons. And for the pros, the crops, we know that the traditional farming, they rarely use chemicals. They did not use chemicals or anything. So the crops or the vegetables produced are organic, and which this is not harmful for our body, and it is a good product. And we know that organic products are usually higher in qualities, and they sell in the higher price. And this will benefit for the farmers. They can sell the price higher, which compared to the normal crops, normal vegetables, about like twice or 3 times the price, right? So, yep, the price is higher, and the waste of the crops produced while farming, like the scraps or anything, after decomposed, they can be used as fertilizer. And this fertilizer is very organic, and our environment can be conserved and will not polluted. And now let's move on to the disadvantages of the traditional farming. Okay, we know that the traditional farming, the farmers, they usually work manually, and this will take out a lot of time and energy. Like mainly for farmers, they require 15 hours to harvest the crops compared to the high-tech farming. And this uses up quite a lot of time as a normal person do. And as I mentioned before, they require really high energy, which the farmers, they do the job manually. And traditional farming, usually they use soil. They did not use what did they say? The hydroponic, the soilless culture. They did not use that method, so the chance to get the soil disease will be higher. Okay, and that's from me. And now I will pass to Eng to continue about the modern farming.
Okay, so now let us get into modern farming.
So, do you guys know what is modern farming? Okay, so modern farming, also known as commercial farming, which means in the farming practice in which the farmer grows the crops for the purpose of trade. So in commercial farming, there is a huge amount of capital is invested, and crops are produced in a high quantity with the use of modern technology, fertilizer, and machine. So the use of modern inputs are used to increase the high yield of productivity. So commercial farming is used to yield high productivity from the available land. It is practiced widely by many developed countries in the world, but there are still some advantages and disadvantages in this farming. So do you guys know what is the advantages for the commercial farming and also the disadvantages? Okay, so one of the advantages of the commercial farming is that the crop yield is high. This is because it enhanced through modern input such as modern irrigation method and machine. So besides, with the less amount of land, it can yield high productivity of fruit. Therefore, it leads to economy of scale and directly contributes towards meeting the growing demand for the food supplies. So another advantages is with the commercial farming is that the farm produce such as vegetables, fruits, and produce product become less expensive. This is because with the available land, we can produce many of the food. Therefore, it can solve the worldwide hunger problem, and therefore human can afford a balanced diet. So besides advantages, there are also some disadvantages for the commercial farming, right? Just now I have mentioned it. So commercial farming involves the use of various kinds of chemical fertilizer. It is not same with the traditional farming because traditional farming is less skill of fruit, so they didn't use much of chemical fertilizer. So commercial farming, they are they use the chemical fertilizer and pesticide insecticide, and it leads to the pollution, disease, and infection. So for example, there are many hybrid varieties of food such as poultry food, plants, and fruits. So the livestock and poultry which injected with the hormones and other chemicals to increase the yield. Therefore, when human consumes a lot of the hybrid food, it will cause damage in our body. So this will be the advantages of the commercial farming. So in conclusion, traditional farming and modern farming are the two types of farming practice. Therefore, so traditional farming, also known as sustainable agriculture, it is performed by the farmer for the survival of his own, and it produce a less skill of fruit that only enough for his family. So in contrast, for the commercial farming is an agriculture business where crops are grown for trading purpose. So therefore, there is high productivity of fruit in commercial farming because it can be exported to other countries to increase our country's income. So that's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you.